Hey everyone, my name is Scott and welcome back. We have a Halloween Horror Nights Orlando update for you guys talking about the Horror Night Nightmares speculation map. And if you're new here and you want to see videos like this all the time, make sure you're subscribed with those bell notifications on and leave this video a like at the end of the video because it helps out the channel a whole lot. And as always, you can check out all of our social channels down below in the description. Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that fun stuff can be found down below. But let's talk about Halloween Horror Nights 32 at Universal Studios Florida. So comparing the first speculation map released by Horror Night Nightmares to the second speculation map, just as it was for Hollywood, it's a lot more different comparing the two. And as always, as I want to say in these speculation videos, these are all just rumors based off speculation. Nothing is confirmed until Universal says something themselves, so take everything that you hear in this video with a grain of salt. As well as me talking about in the Hollywood video how I feel like lots of this lineup will change as there's a major change from version 1 to version 2, so I definitely don't think this will be the quote-unquote close to final speculated lineup as it is to the confirmed lineup that we'll get for HHN 32 this year. On the original map, we have properties like The Horrors of Blumhouse featuring Megan and Insidious, Lair of the Banshees, we have The Guitar with the Lightning Bolt, we have Devil Dogs, which was featured in Slaughter Cinema a few years back, Krampus was on there, some form of anchor hinting at possibly another dead man's house, and then some Japanese characters. We also had not Universal Monsters Paris, but we had Universal Monsters Phantom/Dracula, with no shows or no scare zones being listed other than one show in Nightmare Fuel returning. Well, Volume 2 is completely different. We actually have some scare zones on there, so two of the scare zones that would be featured at this year's event reportedly would be Holidays in Hell, coming from Hollywood, which would be the first time that a Hollywood idea goes over to Orlando from my understanding, and we have Naughty Dog's The Last of Us game scare zone, not The Last of Us HBO series, be The Last of Us game in a scare zone in the Central Park location of the event. And of course, with that change from the HBO series to the game The Last of Us, also comes the house change. It's no longer rumored that the house will be based around the HBO series, it's rumored that the house will be based around the game, which honestly wouldn't be too hard of a switch considering the fact that they have all the content necessary from real life scenarios in the HBO series. All they need to do is figure out some way that they make it more towards the game compared to the series. We talked a little bit more about that in our Hollywood video, which is now out on the channel. You have the Exorcist Believer on there, rumored to be in a soundstage. Chucky's also rumored to be in soundstage. And in my personal opinion, I feel like Chucky should either go in a parade building or it should go in one of the sprung tents. Now it looks like from this map, as Kid Zone's been getting the demolishment treatment, it looks like there'd only be one parade building and you'd enter from the Springfield area, and that rumored house would be Universal Monsters Paris. Now one thing I want to talk about here is of course the obvious. Like I said, there's only one parade building, which would make sense considering the fact that there's absolutely no way that you could have two parade buildings back there. I mean, crowd control would be a whole mess, especially if the entrance actually is in that Springfield area. That's just one little gate, so where would you put two separate lines? Now I can definitely see them leading you back to a trail where it's more like of a Curious George and Hollywood blueprint, to where there's two houses after a very far walk and then there's food stands back there and whatnot. But honestly, the walk to those two parade buildings is very, very tiring and very, very long. So I think it's smart if Universal is going the way of having one parade building, especially with Kid Zone currently being closed due to its demolition. But with there only being one rumored parade building, well, that leaves the question, where would another house go to replace the second parade building? Well, the MIB tent is currently under construction. We've seen different construction photos from BioReconstruct, from people who have noticed it around the park, that it looks like after its 1 year hiatus, we are getting that Men in Black location back. And currently for that location, it looks to be some form of circus tent surrounded by a cloud. I'm not too sure what this could be. Is this hinting at a Jack house, another Jack house, a Chance house, or is it just some form of clown-themed haunted house? We don't know. But speaking of Jack, Universal Orlando recently released a very cryptic video, and yes, there was tons of hints left in there that lots of people had been speculating on. There's been different figures popping up in the static and people trying to figure out who those figures are or what those figures are. Regardless though, it's got a lot of people talking. It's got a lot of people speculating. Alicia Estella even pointed out that it looks like the girl featured in this clip is getting taken by Vecna towards the end. So that, kind of confirms the big rumor on Stranger Things coming to Halloween Horror Nights, if that is true, of course. Rumors have been pointing to Stranger Things making its return to Horror Nights in Orlando in specific. I haven't heard anything about Hollywood, but I've definitely heard people talk about Stranger Things making its way to the Orlando event. So could that be some tie-in? Vecna taking this girl in that little cryptic message that Horror Nights Orlando left for everybody? I'm not too sure, but lots of people have been doing a great job at trying to figure out exactly what this video means and what it means as far as hints that they're leaving us for this year's event. The 2 Sprung Tent locations are rumored for The Last of Us, which we've talked about, but also rumored there is another original, and Horror Night Nightmares has made it very clear that the little star hints at an original. And this icon seems to be some form of devil emoji. Now this could still be in relation to devil dogs, but I would assume that there'd be something there implying that it's devil dogs other than just the devil emoji. I'm not too sure what this could be though. Honestly, I have no ideas. Could it be some form of demon-themed haunted house or something along those lines? Right now, I'd say that this one is the hardest to predict. But, I won't say that too early because there's 2 other originals that also have interesting looking icons. But we move up to the Fast and Furious location, and Fast and Furious is currently under construction, the queue for a Horror Nights house. It's closed off for parts of it, so we know that that location is coming back, and honestly, I think that's a really good location. The Fast and Furious area is a really neat area for them to do close quarter scares and see how they can pull off a haunted house in close quarters like that. It was very successful with the Black Phone and Freaky last year. I just hope that they have a better transition this year. But rumor for this location is a top secret haunted house, and there's no star there, which means that it's not an original. Now I'm going to revisit that rumor that I was talking about in Stranger Things. Could this be where Stranger Things is located at? Since, like I said, there's no star there implying that this is an original. It'd be really weird to put a Stranger Things haunted house in this location since, like I said, it is very close quarters, and you'd think that they want to save Stranger Things for a soundstage where they have a lot more room to create much larger sets. Could also mean that that rumor is just false, because why would they put Stranger Things in this location? I'm not too sure. Other properties, like I mentioned in my Hollywood video, could be Scream, could even be It, if that's even possible. Could be properties like Five Nights at Freddy's, which has a movie releasing this year. And also, not to mention, they're also partnered with Blumhouse, and Blumhouse is doing the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, so why not they do something like that? We move over to the other soundstage houses. The 2 remaining original houses both have different icons. One icon being some form of medieval vibe that I'm getting from this. You have a dragon hovering over a castle, and that's why I'm saying it could be some form of medieval theme. I don't really see any other theme coming from this icon. I'm sure there's some form of Easter egg that Ancient Nightmares is putting in everyone's head that it could not even relate to this at all. It could be just a tiny little thing relating to this original. But I do think that this will probably be some form of medieval haunted house if that icon stays true, with the castle and the dragon hovering over it. And then you move to the left of it, the other soundstage house, and you have some form of village and some form of sign. Now this screams witches to me. We had witches last year at HHN 31 and Spirit of the Coven. It wasn't the greatest house. However, if they do some form of theme with witches, if they do the right theme and the right storyline, I can definitely see it working. I mean, witches at any horror event typically seem to work, whether it be in a scare zone or in a haunted house. It just, like I said, it felt kind of odd for Spirits of the Coven last year. But that's definitely what I'm getting from this icon. Right off the bat, I think this is going to be some form of witch-themed haunted house. Of course, we have Chucky right underneath that, and the Exorcist Believer, so we have confirmation right there, or at least some form of thing leading us to believe that it won't be the original Exorcist that we've seen at different Horror Night events before. It'll be a completely different haunted house surrounding the movie set to release later this year, and few have seen at different conventions and whatnot. And then last but not least, located where Hellblock Horror was last year, it's rumored for Demon Slayer. Now honestly, I read a few comments comments from my recent Horror Nights video that we talked about Demon Slayer, and it seems like half people are on board with it and half people agree with me. It'd be pretty hard to transition this anime into a haunted house. Obviously, Horror Nights has jumped through hoops before. They've done many different properties and many different original ideas that lots of people thought that wouldn't work out at all. And they made it work in somehow in some way. That could obviously be the case with Demon Slayer. All I'm saying is I think that it'd be a little bit more difficult than some people may imagine. And how big of an IP and how big of a pool would it be for people in the US compared to how popular it is to people in Japan? When you already have big names that everybody knows like Chucky, The Exorcist, you have The Last of Us there, and of course everyone knows Universal Monsters already. I mean, really, the really big IP this year is going to be Chucky, hands down. That's why they announced it on closing night. That's going to be the popular one. Even people who have never ever had any intentions to go into a horror event before are going to want to go to the horror event just because there's a Chucky haunted house. And one last thing I want to talk about is there's a second show rumored for HHN 32. It's rumored for the Lagoon / in the Holidays in Hell scare zone or outside of it. Now, this doesn't necessarily imply that the Lagoon show is coming back, but there could very well be a show right there where the entrance to Holidays in Hell is, maybe even themed to Holidays in Hell, or maybe even surrounding the theme of the scare zone in the Hollywood area of this event. Or maybe it's just not themed to either one of those and it's just a random show. I believe they have had a stage there before where they do like a little mini show with dancers. So who knows? I have no idea on what that show could be. All I'm saying is it could definitely be themed to Holidays in Hell or whatever that scare zone is in the Hollywood section of the event. Anyways, I want to know your guys' thoughts down below in the comments section of this rumored lineup that Horror Night Nightmares has put out. Are you guys excited with the current lineup? Obviously, lots is going to change, and I talked about that a little bit earlier in the video. I do believe we're in for a lot of change with these different speculation maps, and as we get closer and closer to more and more announcements for HHN 32, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments section. But that's going to wrap it up for today's video. If you guys enjoyed it, please subscribe with those bell notifications on, and leave this video a like if you enjoyed it. It helps out the channel a whole lot. And as always, my name is Scott. You've been watching Exploring Attractions. Positivity is key, and most importantly, remember to keep exploring. Peace out, everybody.